me and my husband explored the idea of having a threesome with another man.
Okay.
And it turned into an affair on my part.
Oh, so y'all went through. You went through with it.
Well, we tried to, and I had not told him that I had been with a guy first. And we tried to go through with it, and he absolutely hated it, and I hated it, and it was awful. And then, then he found out about me sleeping with the guy first, and I was wondering how to help him through his emotions without running us both insane.
That ship sailed, sister. The insane ship is out of the harbor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely different.
Okay.
I've never, ever thought I would do something like that in my entire life.
Yeah.
It was out of character for me completely.
So walk me back to the beginning. How did this thing get initiated?
So, we've been kind of just messing around in the bedroom with it for 4 years. Nothing we ever thought would actually come to be a real thing. Just something we fantasized about together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up seeing in June that he had posted some pictures of me on a website that I was not aware of.
Whoa. Okay, that feels like a violation there. So one, y'all are having some fun, flirty in the bedroom. Okay, what would happen, and what would he want to look like, and would you want to be with another woman, or would you want to be with another man? So y'all are having this flirty, kind of fantasy role play-y conversation.
Yeah, it was definitely just something neither one of us, I guess, never thought would come into a real thing.
Okay, so then he took the first step by posting you on a website, or did y'all both agree hey, let's just go fishing a little bit and see what if we made a fake account, I wonder who would actually want to be interested in us?
Well, we had talked about it, but I didn't know he had done it.
Okay, so he went ahead, put pictures of you up.
Yes.
And then
I found it in June.
How'd you find out?
I got his phone. We were at the pool with some friends, and me and my friend went to the store, and he left it in the car, and I saw it whenever we drove to the store.
So you're just going through a phone, and you find out there's an app on it, and you're on some threesome website?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was I was mad about it, but I knew we had talked about it. So I wasn't as angry about it, I guess, because we had discussed it before.
Okay. So did you scream and yell and demand he take it down, or you were like, all right, well, let's see how it goes?
Well, we kind of just we talked about it, and we kind of just decided to delete the whole thing. It wasn't an argument. It was just a conversation.
Okay.
So then, but at that point, I thought he was serious because it turned into more of a real life situation. So then I thought, well, maybe he really wants to do that. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So I kind of pushed it more to see if that's something he would want to do. And then he was kind of pushing it with me, and we kind of both thought each other was ready to do something like that.
Was it a game of chicken that kind of got out
I think so.
Oh, this is happening. Oh, this is really happening. Oh, you want and then nobody stopped anybody, and all of a sudden y'all are heading off a cliff? Or
right. I think that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
Because we tried one time to go through with it in person before this incident happened, and neither one of us could go through with it.
So y'all met with a third party, and you're like, hey, we're kind of into this?
Well, we didn't even meet him. It came to the point where he was about to be on the way to the house, and we both were like, we can't do this.
Okay.
So then we talked about it, and I told him that I felt kind of angry that he even wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost and it was so weird to me because I did enjoy it in a way when we were talking about it. But then the fact that he actually wanted to go through with it made me feel like he wasn't protecting me.
From you being with another man?
Right. It felt like he wasn't protecting my heart in any kind of way.
Okay. And so you showed him by going to find another guy and you slept with him?
I don't know. That's how I don't even know how that even happened.
So then a guy's coming to your house and y'all both are like, no, what are we doing? This is crazy. This is a fantasy out of control. Stop.
Right.
And then you reached out and...
This is the same guy that was going to come that night.
Okay.
And I told him,
Total stranger, or did you know him?
No, I had no idea who he was. He was a total stranger.
Okay.
And I texted him, and my husband texted him. We both told him, like, we're not doing it. Sorry for, getting you started. But then, like, 4 days later or so, he texted me and was like, how are you doing? And then he kind of played on it like, well, this is what your husband's been posting behind your back, and, like, this is what he's doing, and he's probably seeing somebody else because he's posting these things and doing this behind your back. So he's probably doing other things behind your back, too. And it kind of just got in my head. And then I kind of talked my husband back into going through with the situation. And then it ended up, the guy was like, well, if you just come meet me, you'd feel more comfortable with the situation.
And
I was like, yeah, and I went. He was like, if you meet me first, then you'll feel more comfortable when it does happen. And so you're going to do it anyway, so it's not wrong. It's kind of how he put it.
Oh, y'all are going to end up having sex together anyway, so you might as well, y'all two do it first, and then it'll be okay for the threesome.
Exactly. And now I look back at it with, like, a clear head, and I'm like, that was so stupid. And we both have looked back at it as such a terrible, like, thing we even let into the bedroom, just because it was so, it's like it was all consuming for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And now it came out, and I almost didn't even want to tell him. And I almost felt like if we went through with it, then it would make it okay. Like, if we went through with it together, then I would feel justified with it almost.
Did y'all go through with it in the evening, or did you call it off in the middle?
In the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy was at our house, and it kind of got started, and then my husband freaked out.
Sure.
So then we both were like, it was terrible. And it was only 2 weeks ago when this happened, so it's very fresh.
Okay. And so then when your husband freaked out, the guy left, and he's like, what's happening? Can't believe this. How long until you said, well, I've already met with this guy? I've already slept with him.
The next day.
Okay. How did that go?
The next day. He just kept asking questions like, I feel like you've seen him before. I feel like you know him. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, because he was already so upset, and I didn't want to make it worse. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he was like, well, I'm just going to text him and ask him. And I said, okay, fine. So then I just told him.
Okay. And
now he's very like, he says he wants to fix things, but he's waking me up in the middle of the night almost every night with different questions and different things. And 1 minute he'll be fine, and the next minute he'll be really upset. And I don't really know how to help him process it. I also am trying to process it because I've never been that kind of person.
Yeah, you became somebody that you don't even recognize.
Right. And that's what scared me the most.
Yeah.
Was that I looked, and I never thought I was even capable of that. Like, the way that I feel about my husband has always been insane. Like, I guess that's not a great word, but, like, I've always been super in love with my husband since I met him. So the fact that I would even entertain, but we were having issues before it happened, and but I don't want to justify it by saying that. But there were things going on, like with communication and lack of communication. We moved a year ago away from our family, and my mental health has not been great. Like, I started having panic attacks again for the first time in years. And I was looking back on our conversations and reading where I was like basically begging him to help me or to support me in any kind of way, because he works night shifts, so I'm always by myself. So I was like texting him, and I was like, will you please just like help me with this part, because I can't do this, and I'm having a really hard time. And he would just be like, well, I can't fix you. And I was like, I know that, but like, I need some help, and you're the only person I have.
So there's multiple issues here, okay?
Okay.
Issue number one is you have a marriage that was already a mess. If your body is screaming at you, trying to get your attention to the point that it spins you out and convinces you you're dying via panic attack, and your husband says, I can't fix that, and he doesn't stop what he's doing and come running, Y'all have cracks in your relationship that are pretty significant.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, you lost trust in you.
Yeah.
And that's a scary place to be when we lose trust in ourselves. Because it's hard to take a next step. When we find out we're capable of things that we've judged other people on before, when we find ourselves capable of hurting other people or justifying weird things or falling prey to or using really thin arguments to go do a thing just to see what happens. Like, whew, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the third thing is, like, yeah, you blew up your husband's trust.
Mm.
This is going to sound crazy, but y'all planned to do a thing. Y'all planned to do infidelity together.
Yeah.
Which became a y'all versus the world kind of thing. And I know, like, that in and of itself is a whole different conversation. But you violated that trust, right?
Yeah.
And so, if he was calling me, we would be having a different conversation. But ultimately, the marriage you had is over. Doesn't exist anymore. It's dust. Just smoke.
Which I feel like is a good thing. Like, in a way,
Could be.
It sucks because we've talked more in the past 2 weeks than we have for the past 2 years.
That's right. It's why a lot of people say that an affair saved their marriage. Because it just blew the house down that was a house of cards anyway. That no one would just say out loud, this is what this actually is. That's not a reason to go have an affair, God help us. But, like, there's people, it brings to light what everything, like, truth real fast, right?
Yeah, it does.
So the next steps have to be, if y'all decide not to save your marriage, that one's over, to rebuild a new one, y'all can do that. And
we've seen a counselor virtually, but his advice was basically just don't talk about it because it's opening the wound.
Well, that's stupid. Don't ever talk to that guy again.
Yeah, okay.
It's less about don't talk about it. And you got to understand, your husband, that same person that you're saying, like, I can't believe I did this, he knew you that way too.
Yeah.
Right? And only y'all three know how this engagement started when this third party walked into your house and what images are in your husband's head.
Yeah.
And when he's been asking you very specific questions, which is really common after an affair, like, I want to know exactly what happened. Exactly. Now he's looping on that. The images in his head all the time of you with this guy, you with this guy. And he kind of got a glimpse of you with this guy in real life, right? So it's all there. The next steps are very specific. Here's an open book. The table is clear. What must be true for me to rebuild trust in this house?
Okay.
And by the way, he also texted the guy and said, come over, here's my address. So he's culpable too.
Yeah.
But y'all both have to lay out on the table, here's what reestablishing trust looks like.
Okay. I think that's where we're stuck, is like we don't know where to start.
Okay, so you tell me, and he gets to tell you. Y'all tell each other. Let me say it that way.
Well, he tells me I don't know.
Okay, well, then say, I'm going to go first. I'm deleting all apps. I'm cutting the internet off the house for 30 days. At 8 o'clock at night, all the phones get shut completely off in this house, and we have to stare at each other.
Okay.
And that means we have to play Twister together, or I'll send you some questions for human sex. We got to get to know each other again.
Okay.
We got to go on walks. We're going to read books together. We're going to have to do these things together and recreate a new, like, you got to go first. If he's like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
And then you get to say, and by the way, you opened the door for this man to walk in the house and have sex with me right in front of you. I lost trust in you too.
Yeah.
Here's what must be true for me. I want to know that you'll fight for my heart again. And y'all have to also draw some boundaries. All right, flirty conversations, what if conversations, fantasy conversations, those can be so fun and playful and exciting and erotic. I'm all about it. Have all the fun you want. Have all the conversations you want to have. But in the future, here's the breaks. Right? And y'all got to build those boundaries in. So here's what this is going to look like. I don't ever want to have another conversation about you with another person, another man, another woman ever again.
Okay.
I don't want to have that conversation. And you can say, you get 3 questions or 5 questions a day. And once you reach that limit, then we're going to go to the next day. Because just sitting here having like 40 questions every single day, it isn't helpful.
I think what he can't move past is like, he doesn't believe what I'm telling him about what happened.
And that's the damning thing about sneaking off and sleeping with somebody else.
Right.
You're not who he thought you were, right?
Right.
So he's trying to imagine who you might be. And I promise what he's envisioning is worse than reality.
Yeah.
But you can't, that's the part you can't fix. What you can do is do the next right thing every minute, every hour, every day.
Right.
And y'all can both say, hey, what does it look like when it comes to chores? What does it look like every day before we go to work? How can I love you today? What does it look like every evening on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, all plan the activities that we're going to do after 8 o'clock? And Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays, you plan the activities we're going to do after 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock because our phones are off.
Okay.
And we got to reimagine our lives together. Or twice a week, we're going to have another couple over just for dinner. We're going to go to a comedy show. We're going to watch a movie. We're going to begin to do things so we can reestablish liking, reestablish safety, reestablish trust in this relationship because we blew it up.
Yeah.
And you could tell him,
Yeah.
I totally understand your lack of trust. But you just trying to tell him you're crazy for thinking this isn't helpful. So I'll answer your questions. I'll answer 5 a day. That's kind of my capacity, or 7 a day, or 10. You get to decide. 2 a day. I don't care what it is.
Okay.
But when each of you establishes, here's what it's going to take to reestablish trust and rebuild something amazing. The other person can say, that's not enough for me. I'm out.
Okay.
Okay. Here's the question I want you to answer. I want y'all to put at the top of your paper. What do we want this house to feel like in 1 year when we both walk in? I want it to feel full of laughter, warmth, sexiness, silliness, dancing. And then let's reverse engineer what must be true starting today. Got to take dance classes? Cool. Both got to go to the gym? Cool. Both going to start reading the same, do a book study together? Cool.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. Like you said, it's literally just everything. It's totally different. Everything changed.
Yes. So you're dating again. Hi, my name is Kate. I think you're kind of cute. Can I get your number? And you both know the capacity you have to hurt each other.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something crazy. I don't think your marriage is over if you don't want it to be, and he doesn't want it to be. I think there's going to be some fumbling and stumbling around in the dark as y'all rediscover who you are, what y'all are capable of, how to forgive and how to say you're sorry. And then the most important thing is how to act anew, how to begin doing different things. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
As a cautionary oracle, I read a study. Gosh, man, it's been a minute since I read it. Maybe a few years ago. But it's something like 90-something% of it was a number that was so astronomical I couldn't believe it. Have thought about a threesome or fantasized about a threesome. And more and more couples are like, yeah, let's give it a shot. What would you say to that couple who thinks they're pretty tight? They've been married for 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever. That's like, yeah, we can do it. We can handle it. What would you tell that couple?
No. But that was we were reading all like the Reddit threads and all the forums, and people are saying, oh, it's great. And it'll make your marriage better. And we kind of got to the point where that was like the only thing we were good at was having sex.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of like, well, if it's going to make that better, then it has to make everything else better too. But I would definitely, if anybody asks me, I mean, it's just like a poison that gets in and it just spreads.
Mm. All right, here's the deal. You call me anytime, okay?
Okay.
And if you and your husband want to be my guest at the Money and Marriage in February here in Nashville, Tennessee, y'all two can be my guest. You'll have to get your airfare here and your hotel here, but I'll cover your tickets.
Okay. We could do that.
Okay?
Okay.
But there's a lot of work between now and February, now and Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Asking yourself this question. How do you want this house to feel like when we walk home? Because here's the beautiful thing. Y'all made some decisions to blow the thing up. Y'all can make those same decisions to recreate something freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And I love what you just said. It's really important. The only thing we got good at was having sex. Cool. It's not a bad place to start. It's a pretty awesome place to start. But let that be an anchor point and begin to have honest conversations about we don't like each other. How do we let's reimagine liking each other.
Yeah.
You complain a lot. All you talk about is conspiracy theories. You actually think people landed on the moon. I'm vegetarian and all you want to do is eat steak. Like, I don't like being around your mother. Let's have these things because they're happening in our marriage, whether we want to talk about them or not.
Yeah.
And then, most importantly, let's begin to act different.